let's begin. So, our first speaker is a dynamo. I'm a fan. It's Gracie Bagosy. Yeah. Let me get that last name, Gracie. It's Young, right? I apologize. Gracie was here yesterday. She was sitting in on the ketamine. Gracie, as many of you know in the room, is an incredibly talented and passionate advocate for people with CRPS and other types of pain. And she does a Midwest Take Control of Your Pain event for the last 2 years, and she's going to do it this year. So, Gracie, please.
Thank you. We've actually had the Midwest Pain Education Treatment Expo for 3 years already, and this next year will be our 4th. Thank you for the warm welcome. I'm really excited to be here, and before we get started, I want to say that, can you hear me okay? This seems taller than me. I want to say that it was really an honor to sit in with all the practitioners yesterday and listen to the back and forth and sharing of education and research and best practices in their respective clinics. There wasn't a single doctor that did things the same way. They all had their own protocols, but there wasn't any competition. Everybody was just laying their cards on the tables and sharing how they did things. And it was really, truly amazing. I'm not going to share exactly what happened. All of the audio and slides are going to be on the RSDSA website. Like he said today, I think they're duking it out in the other room, and that's probably where all the competition is happening. But it was overwhelming as a person with CRPS to hear these top doctors from all over the world share their passion in treating this disease. And I didn't hear a single person say, I know the best way to do it, or I have this all figured out, because they don't. But to hear how diligently they're working at helping us was really, really overwhelming. So let's get started. Anybody that knows me knows that I don't sugarcoat anything. I give straight talk. So today that's what I'm here to talk about. It is straight talk about everyday maintenance for CRPS warriors. My clicker isn't working. Thank you. So, I have nothing to disclose. Nobody has paid me to be here, unfortunately. Nobody has paid me to promote any products or say anything. So all the opinions are my own, and I have plenty. So I'm going to talk a little bit about myself. A lot of people know where I am now, but not many know where I came from or how I got here. So I injured both of my wrists kickboxing at the gym. Those are real photos. They're not staged. Kickboxing is what I did in my free time to de-stress. I may not look like it because I'm kind of short and skinny, but that was what I really loved to do. I injured both my wrists and went through a series of surgeries. And during one of those surgeries, they made a mistake. They slipped with that needle and damaged 2 nerves in my arm. My right arm, and the onset of CRPS was the result. I have quite a few other diagnoses too, but that's the one that we're here to talk about today. So at that point, I traded in those sexy pink gloves for orange ones. I became a warrior. How did I get here? Well, at the time, I had just run away from home, run away from an abusive home. I was a single mom with 2 kids. I didn't have any money. Barely had a place to live. I was all by myself with this brand new diagnosis in my body. And I didn't know anything about it. I was living in the middle of nowhere in Iowa. I didn't have any doctors that knew what it was. But I was an electronic engineer, which means nerd. So I had the skills to research. And that's what I did. I dove into my computer and I started looking for people just like me that had the same diagnosis. I found 2 angels immediately named Sarah and Rob, who became my instant friends, and they helped me. They helped me research. I started creating support groups to collect people collect people to help me understand. And those people became my guiding light, the only thing that helped me survive those long nights. You know, when you're rocking on the edge of your bed back and forth, begging for the morning to just get here because you don't know how you're going to survive. That's how I did. All the people inside my computer. So as I started, I had great insurance, by the way. I was still employed, just on disability. So I had great insurance, and I learned that a lot of people didn't. I was young and naive and thought I could beat this, right? We all think that at first. I could beat this. I see a lot of heads nodding. So because I had this insurance, I started systematically going through one treatment after another. But these people inside my computer, they were the only support system I had. So I took them all with me in a very, very public way. Every single treatment I tried, I did it online. I took them all with me. The photos, the videos, online journaling. I believe that knowledge is power. So most of them failed. Most of the treatments failed. They saw me crying. They saw my brain scans. They saw the injections. They saw all of it. Not everybody understands that journey, but that's okay. It's mine. It's mine. So after I made it through the mainstream treatments, I went on to the experimental treatments, and I started fighting the insurance company to pay, and I started winning. So these groups got bigger and bigger and bigger and started attracting more people because of my vulnerability. And that's a hard spotlight to be in. It's hard to put yourself under that spotlight. But I did it. And that's how I got here today. I didn't intend to be an advocate, but it just kind of happened. This clicker does not like me. So, what does an advocate really do? I have a little video here.
How'd it go?
Did you wait around for me?
How'd it go?
He thinks I may have an eating disorder.
Josh.
And fear of rectangles. That's not weird, is it? I didn't cut my hand on a glass. I broke a window in my apartment.
This guy's walking down the street when he falls in the hole. The walls are so steep he can't get out. A doctor passes by and the guy shouts up, "Hey, you, can you help me out?" The doctor writes a prescription, throws it down in the hole, and moves on. Then a priest comes along and the guy shouts up, "Father, I'm down in this hole, can you help me out?" The priest writes out a prayer, throws it down in the hole, and moves on. Then a friend walks by. "Hey, Joe, it's me, can you help me out?" And the friend jumps in the hole. Our guy says, "Are you stupid? Now we're both down here." The friend says, "Yeah, but I've been down here before and I know the way out."
One of those two angels, Rob, sent that to me the other day, and I cried. All of you that have CRPS know why. Because it's so true. You can have well-meaning doctors and even religious leaders, friends, family, but unless you have the disease, nobody really understands you like those of us that have the disease. And I saw a few hands go up when Jim asked, who here has never met someone else with CRPS? Could those hands go back up? Now you have. Now you have. And you will understand the power of looking into the eyes of someone else that understands those exact same struggles that you do every single day. I'm trying to see those of you. Could you put your hands back up again? I want to talk to every single one of you before this day's out. Thank you. So that's what an advocate does. We see things differently than the people in your lives that don't struggle with the exact same disease. And I didn't have that in my life. I would have given anything for someone around me to reach that hand out to me and say, I've been there and I can help you. I can guide you to the answers. So that's my mission, is to be that hand that guides. So where do I go? Why is this happening to my body? What is this diagnosis? When do I need to seek help? Who do I need to go to? And how can I find the tools that I need? Those are the questions that an advocate can help you find. We don't do it for you, but we help you find the tools for free. So here's some statistics about chronic pain in general. This is a really great graphic that I borrowed from the American Academy of Pain Medicine. If you want to take a moment to look that over, you'll see that chronic pain far outweighs diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. Moving on to the next slide. These are the exact same statistics put into a little different graphic. I think the arrows exemplify it a little bit better. Now, it's not CRPS, it's chronic pain in general. Chronic pain is defined as anything that lasts more than 3 to 6 months. One of the doctors yesterday, Dr. Joshi, said, if I punch you in the arm in the same spot every day for a year, you will be mentally different. Doesn't matter what diagnosis you have. I'm going to punch you every day in the arm for a year. You're going to be different. That's chronic pain. Okay? So on this next slide, back to the chronic pain, please. On this next slide, this is a really interesting point here, is that those two chronic pain statistics that you just saw, those do not include children, those in nursing homes, chronic care facilities, prisons, or the military. Why is that? Why aren't they counting everybody? So if you count everybody, chronic pain affects 1/3 of the American population. 1/3. So moving on now, where's that chart for CRPS? I couldn't find that for you. I would love to have that chart. We don't have it. So we do need more studies and more research. And that's why I'm really honored to be here today, because this weekend is groundbreaking. Nothing like this has ever happened in the world. And the next time I talk to you, I would love to see that chart up there for CRPS. This type of gathering shines a huge orange light on CRPS. So I'm not going to talk to you about anything that you need a prescription for. I'm going to talk to you today about straight talk, things that you can control. I know it was really an altering moment in my journey when I finally figured out that there were things I could control, because I felt completely out of control for a really long time. But there are things that you can control. You can control your diet, you can control your surroundings, and you can utilize pain management tools. And these are all real photos. These are real people that I know. And I thought this was important to include, because you'll notice these people are all different colors. These people are all different ages and different genders. So let's talk about how you can control what you eat. Your food can either help you or it can harm you. Pain is inflammatory. We have an inflammatory disease. So you can bolster the host, which is strengthen your immune system by feeding it healthy nutrients. You are what you eat, so don't be cheap, easy, or fake. Plain and simple. Every bite you take is either fighting your disease or feeding it. This is one of the simplest things that I can tell you today, and it took me a long time to learn. I always said that I didn't want to be one of those high-maintenance people that went gluten-free and dairy-free and all that kind of stuff because I was lazy, until I was forced to do it, and it changed my life. Eat this, not that. I keep this photo on my phone because I think this is a really great graphic to look at. I'm going to leave this one here for a minute so I can see people looking at it. This is the new food pyramid that every one of you in here that has CRPS really should be looking at. The old food pyramid does not apply to us anymore. I'm not sure it applies to anybody, but it really does not apply to us. The green leafy vegetables should be at the bottom, followed by fruits and vegetables. And you can follow that all the way up to the top. So, a simple rule, very simple rule. If it came from a plant, eat it. If it was made in a plant, don't eat it. Our ancestors did not have food that came from a plant. This is very, very simple. You don't have to get into the very high level thinking when it comes to, reading labels and everything. This is a very simple rule. If it came from a plant, eat it. If it didn't come from a plant, don't eat it. This is very, very big, and there's a lot more to it than what's written on this slide. But you need to control your surroundings. So for starters, dress appropriately. You probably have all figured this one out already. Soft clothes, cut out the tags, bring extra layers, carry mittens, gloves, pack compression wear. Now when I talk about compression wear, I'm not talking about it for its compressive features. Just enough to, cover your skin so your clothes aren't touching you. That's what I mean. Don't make it tight so it cuts off the blood flow. Any assistive devices that you need to have that with you. I carry hot hands in my purse, in my car. I even have battery-operated heated gloves in my car just in case I should happen to have a car accident or get stuck somewhere and I don't have help. I know we have cell phones these days, but you can't be over-prepared when you have this type of disease. I always have... You have a sweater on today. I also have a coat here. It's always cold in these kinds of places. You need to think ahead. You don't have the luxury of being careless anymore when you have this type of disease. So you really need to dress appropriately. The weather. You cannot control the weather. You cannot control Mother Nature. But you can control whether or not you wander out into the nasty weather. You can plan your schedule around extreme weather. High humidity, storms, frigid cold. These are things that affect all of us. So plan your schedule around the weather as much as you can and adjust your schedule as necessary. This one is very big. Choose your company wisely. You do get to choose, even if they're family. People will lift you up or drag you down. You are not obligated to keep toxic people in your life, even if they're related to you. You do get to choose. And if you are not in a safe home, contact an advocate. We will help you find resources to get to a safe place. So I have this little philosophy called the flower garden philosophy. I see some people smiling. Maybe they've heard of it before. So I love to garden. I absolutely love to garden. Move on to the next. But I'm not able to maintain a big garden anymore. I just can't do it. I don't have an infinite amount of energy, but I love the flowers. I just love them. And the weeds drown out the beautiful flowers. The same applies to my life. It's a perfect analogy. Tend to what you love. Do what you can handle. Make room for the beauty. Leave no room for the negativity. If people can walk away, let them. Let that garden weed itself. No one knows your situation better than you do. Do what's best for you and explain it later. If they can't love you through it, then they were not meant to be in your life. So stress and disease. Negative emotions and health-related consequences. Persistent stressors and negative emotions can lead to unhealthy behaviors, smoking and drinking, poor nutrition and sleep. The release of stress hormones can lead to heart disease, immune suppression, and autonomic nervous system effects. So that plays right into what I just said. You don't need the stress. You don't have the luxury of allowing stress in your life anymore. You have to do everything you can to control your surroundings. Now, on to the pain management tools that do not require a prescription. We're not going to discuss any prescriptions today. Epsom salt baths are my gold standard. I live with Epsom salt in my life. So you can't spend all your time in the bathtub, right? Sometimes I'll take like a plastic dishpan and just put some hot water in there with some Epsom salt and, soak my arm or soak my foot. Of course, then you have to worry about how you're going to carry that dishpan, right? If you have someone else in your life that can carry the dishpan, you can do that. But if you don't, you get in the bathtub. And showers are difficult, right? Showers feel like bees stinging us. So a bath is usually a better alternative if you're able to get in and out of the bathtub. But Epsom salt is wonderful. The magnesium absorbs transdermally and it relaxes the muscles and the nerves. It really helps with those shooting pains. Vitamins and minerals, I'm not going to go over which ones because that's a conversation you really need to have with your doctor. But I take piles of vitamins and minerals every day. Essential oils can be very beneficial. Music, art therapy. Again, I talk about the compression wear and the assistive devices. Support groups, not spaces to commiserate. We don't do that. But the support groups that are uplifting and supportive, if you need one, contact me. I'll be happy to help you find one. Heating pads, fuzzy socks, soft blankets, heated mittens, paraffin tank, whatever makes you physically comfortable. It is a shift in mindset because as adults, and certainly as parents, we're used to taking care of everybody else around us. We always come last. We're used to get the kids taken care of, get your spouse taken care of. But we can't do that anymore. You have to take care of yourself first. Even on an airplane, what do they tell you? In the event of an emergency, put your own mask on first, right? And then help the person next to you. Well, that's what we have to do now. We have to take care of ourselves. You cannot pour from an empty cup. It's a shift in mindset. Now let's talk about that shift in mindset. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional, right? I choose to take advantage of the good days while I can. I rest for a few days ahead of time, and I plan to rest afterwards. I don't let the fear of a flare keep me from living, and I highly recommend that you do the same thing. I don't let RSD own me. Now, you want to be the girls or gentlemen in the front row or in the third row. Now, I would never advocate for any of you to go get on a roller coaster tomorrow. It's a metaphor. But I would go to that amusement park and I would be the girl holding the sunblock, holding the camera, holding the purses, and watching everybody. I would not get on the roller coaster. But I'm not going to let this stop me from living. There are some things that are worth the risk. You rest ahead, you rest afterwards. I don't hide in my house and let this keep me from living. It's important. You have to live. Now let's talk about that word sufferer, because this has been a real hot button for me lately. I'm not sure when this came along or why we decided that that word was okay. I don't know if the media portrayed this with this opioid phobia or how this happened. But when did we decide it was okay to be called sufferers? I'm not a sufferer. I see this in media ads, and then I see it in blogs, and all of a sudden I see people with pain calling themselves sufferers. It's irritating to me. So I looked this up. I Googled the definition of a sufferer, and it says one who suffers. But when I went to school, it was not okay to use the word in the definition. So I go to the thesaurus. These are the words, the synonyms for sufferer. Do you identify yourself with any of those words? I don't. I don't see myself in any of those words. Injured is the only one that I can identify myself with any of those words. I'm not okay with being called a sufferer. I'm not a sufferer. On my social media platforms, I will not share any blogs, any articles, anything that has the word sufferer in it. Any of you are bloggers. I'm not sharing your articles. I'm a survivor. You will never hear me call myself anything other than a survivor, a warrior. These are the synonyms for survivor, warrior. I identify with these words. And I don't even understand people that you know, on your Facebook profile, you put your job and it says CRPS sufferer. CRPS is not my job. It may occupy space inside of my body right now, but that is not my job. I challenge you to be very careful with what you say because you are listening. And the people that think that they can get better and want to get better, do better. I heard a doctor yesterday, I think it was Dr. Prager, say, the patients that come into my clinic that want to get better do much better than the patients that come in and don't think they'll get better. I tend to agree. I'm not my pain. So who am I? I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a health freak, I am a Packer fan living in Chicago. All right. I'm a coffee snob, a neighbor, a friend, a mom, a tech nerd, an advocate, a child of God, a nature lover, a crazy cat lady, a woman. I'm all of these things. And you know what? CRPS or any of the other diagnoses that I have can't take any of that from me. That was a really hard realization when it did take my career from me. It's hard to separate who you are from what you do. But as soon as you figure out how to do that, that's how you stave off that depression. And it's not easy. But I challenge you guys to do that. Sit down with a piece of paper and make a column of things you do and who you are, because they are separate. There's things a disease can never take away from you. I'm not my pain. I'm all of these things, but I am not my pain. These diseases occupy space in my body for now. But I am not my pain, and I am not a sufferer. So what can you control? You can control your diet, and you need to control your diet. You can control your surroundings. You can utilize your pain tools. And I am not advocating for you not to utilize your doctor. That's just not part of my speech. You do need a doctor's care. In fact, you need an entire team of doctors. I started to make a list while I was waiting. Neurologist, pain management specialist, anesthesiologist, family practitioner, orthopedist, psychologist, physical therapist, occupational therapist, rheumatologist, internal medicine, gastroenterologist, nutritionist, massage therapist, naturopath, acupuncturist. They don't call it complex regional pain syndrome for nothing. We need a whole team of doctors. In fact, yesterday I heard Dr. Harbut, Dr. Joshi, and Dr. Prager. Those are the three that stick out in my mind. Say, it takes an intervention. You need a whole team of doctors. You know, we can't, none of us can just fix this, and we can't do it alone. You definitely need your doctor's care. You need all of this. But, you know, you don't see the patient with heart disease show up after eating 38 cheeseburgers and say, I'm here, fix me. We have homework too. So we can't just do whatever we want and expect the doctor to treat us with whatever treatment we've chosen, because we're all different. We do not all respond to the same treatments. So we can't just do whatever we want and show up and say, fix me, I'm here. We gotta do our part too, in conjunction with the doctor's care. It all works together and it all adds up. So if you can get 10 or 20%, 10 or 20%, 10 or 20%, 10 or 20%, whatever the doctor, whatever it is, it all adds up. And if you can add that up to 40, 60, 80, whatever percent of relief you're able to get, isn't that better than where you're at right now? Isn't it better than nothing? Because this is a horrible disease. I challenge you. Do it all. Do a little of it. Do any of it. But don't do nothing. I was raised by a single dad, and he was tough. And he said to me, you only have 2 choices in life. You can do something or you can do nothing. But if you choose to do nothing, that means you are totally okay with the way things are. If you're not okay with the way things are, then you don't have another choice. You have to do something. Those are your choices, something or nothing. If you want to do something, there you go. There's some great options right there. Thank you so much for listening today. Thank you for coming. And I'd really like to thank RSDSA for having me. Looks like my time is up. Thank you very much.